I'm in the town of Česká Lípa. This is a mining area 2 hours north of Prague in the Czech Republic. And it is here, in this town behind me, that one of the worst cases of human trafficking known to the UK police. A ruthless woman, Ludmila Nistrova, in her 50s, and her son, Desida Herak, who lived in this town, recruited up to 70 vulnerable young women, promising them a better life in the UK as waitresses, as beauticians, as shop workers. Shockingly, there are now more human slaves than ever before, and more than 4,600 are thought to be living in the UK today. The Sun has investigated a shocking case involving the ruthless trafficking of dozens of women from the Czech Republic into the UK, where they were forced to work as sex slaves and wed Asian nationals in sham marriages. The women were originally promised waitressing jobs by the gang bosses, but once they arrived at Luton Airport or Victoria Coach Station, they had their passports taken from them and were paid little or no money for sleeping with tens of clients per week. Behind me is the Florence bus station in Prague. Just a 15-minute walk away from the picturesque Charles Bridge, this is where nightmares began for countless trafficking victims in the Czech Republic. Unsuspecting girls were driven here by gangmasters and put on yellow buses bound for London. They were told that they were on their way to a better life. But once in the UK, they were destined for a life of prostitution, sham marriages and misery. Incredibly, one of the addresses where the frightened women were kept against their will was Midland Road in Gloucester, the notorious House of Horror. This is the house where Fred and Rosemary West started their killing spree. It was here that they killed their 8-year-old daughter, Charmaine, and buried her under the ground floor. She remained in this house for 20 years before her body was discovered in 1994. Incredibly, just a few years later, this address was used by gang bosses trafficking unsuspecting young girls from the Czech Republic, promising them a better life in the UK, and then bringing them here and using them as prostitutes. Their ID documents and their passports were taken, and in this house, they were virtual prisoners. Eventually, a brave woman here in this town went to local police and tipped them off about the criminal operations. It led to a joint investigation with UK officers. And finally, earlier this year, the perpetrators were brought to justice, charged with 2 counts of human trafficking, and are all serving time in UK jails.